Hi, everyone. I'm super excited about today's interview. My guest is Brandon Webb. He is a former Navy SEAL and actually not only was a SEAL, but was training SEALs. And he's a New York Times bestselling author. And he's the founder of Hurricane Media, which I think is now an 8-figure business. So, going into the 2 digits millions. So multiple millions in his business. He's an incredible father, I think 3, maybe 4 kids. He's just high functioning in a lot of different areas of life. And I have to admit, you'll probably even kind of see this. I almost get a little starstruck with him, where I'm like, Brandon, I've known him for so long, and he's always been so kind. He actually wrote the foreword to my book, Dr. Chloe's 10 Commandments of Dating. And yet sometimes I still just kind of can't believe really who he is. He's, in my opinion, kind of an awing person. So I was really excited for the chance to speak with him on camera, and I hope that you enjoy watching as well. So without further ado, Brandon Webb.
Hey, Brandon.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, it's good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Is that the virtual background?
Yeah, just a virtual
Nice.
background. Everything these days is virtual. It's so nice. So,
Yeah,
so you're in
cool.
Puerto Rico now, right?
Yeah, all my kids are down here doing school from online, so it's like a fight for bandwidth and attention.
Yeah, yeah. How many kids do you have? 3?
Yeah, 2 boys and a
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah, I enjoy seeing those posts of yours on Instagram where you share about them.
Thanks.
So thanks, for joining me. I just want to confirm, obviously, that, we're recording here. But I love that you do share those photos. This podcast is the High Functioning Hotspot. So I'm interested in high functioning people, and obviously you're a super high functioning person. But being high functioning as a parent is really special too. And so it's been great, just to see that online. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah. Um, so just to kind of like, jump right in, I just want to share a little bit about, what it is in the first place, to even be a
Sure.
high functioning person. And then I'm going to become curious if you can share, like, if you have thoughts about what helped you to be such a high functioning person. And then, even too, if you think about it, like with your kids or with teams that you lead, businesses that you own, how you get, high functioning performance out of other people too. But in psychology, we think of a high functioning, well, maybe it's easier to even start with basic functioning. It's the
Yeah,
ability to make sure that you can take care of your own basic needs in life. So, you're able to obtain and keep basic employment, or, make sure that you have a place to live and you have food to eat. Obviously, some of it is situationally dependent. So if you're in a location where there's a famine, it wouldn't be about your functioning that there was no food. It would be about the situation. But assuming that the resources are available, a person with at least basic functioning can take care of those basic check marks. Whereas a
got it.
person with high functioning is going to go above and beyond. They're going to, maybe do what you did of like, starting companies. And instead of just being a parent, they're going to make sure that their kids are, really challenged and really stimulated and, really going above and beyond. So with that in mind, I'm just curious if you have thoughts about what makes you different or how you get that out of other people too.
Sure. So it's hard. I think, when you look at what makes up the DNA of a high functioning person, that personally, I think it probably has to do with how we're brought up, and then a little bit of, so it's like what kind of childhood environment did you grow up in, and then into early adulthood, what influences were around you, and in my case, I had pretty adventurous parents. We grew up on a sailboat. I started working at a young age on boats as a kid, and then my dad ended up kicking me off the sailboat at 16 years old when we were on a family trip in Tahiti. So I left home at a young age, joined the Navy at 18, and became a Navy SEAL, the thing I think that during that period I really learned in the Navy and the SEAL teams, what we're capable of is much, much more than what we walk around in what I would call normal society and think. Like seeing how much we can accomplish in one day and how much we're capable of physically and mentally. In my time as a Navy SEAL, you realize, wow, we really do kind of set the bar low in society, when in reality we're capable of so much more. So I think, you know, the childhood experience and my time in the SEAL teams just made me appreciate how much we are capable of. And so I tend to call bullshit a lot on people when they say, oh, I'm working so hard. I'm like, well, I don't care about hard work. I care more about results. So if you're not getting results, maybe you should change the way you're working and work smarter, not harder, because it's really about output as well, right? So I think that's, to me, you know, probably the two things I think about.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's such a, you know, fascinating story, really, you know, about being kicked off the boat by your dad and like where you went with that in life. But I'm curious if it was at that point or before or after, when did you start to realize that there's something special about you, that you're not, you know, like that you've got that kind of extra edge? I mean, you know, Navy SEAL, starting these multi-million dollar businesses, New York Times bestselling author. I mean, it's clear now, obviously, that, you know, you're not the average bear. But when did that start to become clear? Or did you just always know?
No, I mean, look, I think I started to see it when I was in the SEAL teams after my initiation period. I had started to kind of break out among my peers. I was promoted as the #1 ranking SEAL at my command out of many talented people, but chosen out as one to get early promoted. I ended up being recruited to be an instructor for our Navy SEAL sniper program, and then the guy that recruited me ended up putting me in charge of the program. So I knew, you know, I had the confidence and I knew I could manage other high functioning kind of what I would consider pretty high functioning, but also high maintenance individuals as a Navy SEAL, not only instructing students, but also, you know, being in charge of SEAL instructors themselves. So I did realize, okay, I have the experience and the knowledge and the know-how to kind of do this and do it well. When I transitioned from the military to civilian world, you know, I made many mistakes like people do in life. I just had a different mindset around mistakes and failures because I knew it's just part of the process. And so I think that gave me an edge too. And I was talking to somebody the other day who had written a book and submitted, you know, 10 proposals, and 9 out of the 10 publishing editors wanted the book. And I said, wow, that's great. I had a very different story. My first book, nobody wanted it. I had like 1 of 10 say yes, and it was St. Martin's Press, and the book ended up doing well, but I had a lot of no's. A lot of people tell me no, and I think that I had enough experience in the Navy and to kind of learn that just because somebody says no to you or puts up a roadblock doesn't necessarily mean that it's time to kind of throw in the towel. And I had my first Navy SEAL package I applied for got turned down. Like they told me no, and it was really, really rough on me because I'd put so much into it and had kind of earned it in my eyes. And they said, no, we're going to decline you. So I had to do another deployment on the USS Kitty Hawk aircraft carrier as a rescue swimmer. And then finally my second my second package got approved. But I think that's a long answer to your
No,
to your
no,
question.
honestly, I love it. I love having the chance to ask you these questions, you know. So, I mean, as you said that you started to really be getting this feedback from others that, you know, you were getting promoted, and it was kind of around that time of the SEALs that you started to realize, you know, that there was really something special and unique about you. And I'm curious how, you know, you balance that. A lot of high functioning people, I think, struggle with this awareness that there's something special, and this, you know, sense of pride that you kind of need to have sometimes, because you do need that to offset those feelings of rejection that you encounter along the way. But how do you balance that, you know, normal, natural, strong, good pride versus arrogance? Because a lot of high functioning people are afraid to be arrogant, but yet they also feel like they know that there is something special about them. Have you ever navigated that?
I can think of a situation recently where I think is a good example. So I'm finishing up this 2-year program at Harvard Business School, and it's for business owners, very high functioning people. I have 100 people in my class. 6 of them are billionaires. You know, a woman in China that runs a steel conglomerate, to, you know, a young French guy that has a aluminum mine in Africa. Like, very high functioning people all over the world. And we're going through this situation now where Harvard Business School is coming up with alternatives for us to finish our last class. We have normally it would be almost a month on campus, 7 days a week, interacting in this classroom environment, very close. And we've all gotten to be very, very close because it's an intimate environment. You're with each other every day. You build these relationships, and now we're faced with doing the last part of our curriculum virtually. And I'm in the WhatsApp group, and everyone's losing their minds. Like, this is bullshit. You know, we don't want to do this. We want to be in person. We need to basically stick it to the staff at Harvard and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, like, I was almost shocked. Like, I get it. I wanted to be with this group too, but I'm looking at all these people like kind of, and I think a lot of this has to do with me, my tolerance for like what I would consider a true like problem or dilemma, right? And I'm like, guys, this is not that big of a deal, right? Like, and it's out of Harvard's control. Like, I'm sure they want us in the classroom like everybody else because they would make more money. Now they're having to discount, but everyone is losing their mind. And I'm like, someone has to say something. Like, it was just like this dog piling in the WhatsApp group. And this morning we had a call with the staff, and everyone's in these private chat rooms and on WhatsApp, just kind of like venting and throwing what I would consider an adult tantrum. Mm-hmm. And I finally sent a message to the WhatsApp group. I told a story that I told in my last book, Mastering Fear. I said, I'm going to tell you a story about how they trap monkeys to eat for food in jungle survival training. They dig a hole in the ground, and they chop open a coconut. They put the coconut in the hole. They put the sticks around the hole. And when the monkey reaches in, grabs the coconut, he can't pull it out of the hole because the sticks block his hands and his fist around the coconut, even one-handed. If he has the coconut, he can't pull it out of the sticks. All he has to do is just let go, and he's free. But he just won't. He holds onto the coconut, and you watch this, you know, Filipino survival guy come over and just bonk the monkey up the side of the head, and there you go. You got monkey kebabs for dinner. And so I think of a lot of people hold on to these fixed ideas and mindset, and they want change. They're asking, oh, I want to start a business. I want to do this. I want to become wealthy. But they're not willing to let go of their coconut, whatever the coconut is for them. And I told this story to this group, and the whole ranting process just shut down. And guys were like, wow, that was that was really good. Because I'm like, come on, guys. And so that was a situation where I think I saw an opportunity for leadership and to kind of reset everybody and say, guys, let's focus on what's really important here. The world has changed. The way we learn and interact it's forever changed. And maybe we should just think about, whatever coconut you're holding on to and maybe let it go. So I think that's a good example of a case where I felt like somebody had to step up and I had something, to contribute, and I wasn't afraid. And I don't think it came across as being arrogant.
No, yeah, that's a beautiful story. I'm glad you shared that. And it actually kind of prompts another question then for me, which is, how do you navigate tenacity versus flexibility? So how do you know, like, when you're in a coconut situation and holding on is just going to be trouble, or if it's like, don't let go, just keep going and keep staying persistent, how without the benefit of hindsight, do you have thoughts about how you know whether it's time to be tenacious or whether it's time to let go of the coconut?
Yeah, I think it really helps to have a group of people around you to help you see that kind of stuff, right? Like you and I met in Entrepreneurs Organization. I'm in YPO, and I have a forum of 6 people plus myself, and so I think I use them to kind of pressure test situations. Like, should I push through here? Should I change course? Am I holding on to something? I'm just afraid of change and to let something go. I think that's important, that you have to build those networks. You can't do it by yourself. So if you don't have that kind of network, you have to find it somewhere, whether it's, curating it off of your LinkedIn contacts, joining a group like, Entrepreneurs Organization or Young Presidents Organization. There are these groups out there. But I think that plays a big part in helping me kind of see through the fog sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. I remember you told me once about, I think you told me about the fog of war, and I've always just thought that's such an interesting concept, that when we're really just in the thick of things, that we sometimes can't really see what's going on. And yeah, the right community definitely makes all the difference.
And also, I think as a time, like I've definitely developed a habit of keeping an open mind. That's why so I notice in myself, back to the Harvard story, when they were saying, oh, we're considering doing this online, I immediately had the reaction like, oh, that's going to be really tough. And I'm going to miss out on this opportunity to be around my classmates. But then I was like, wait a minute, I caught myself and I said, okay, let me just see what they're going to come up with, at least, keep an open mind. And so when you develop a habit of that, I think it does help also.
Yeah. I mean, I maybe tend to get stuck in polarities sometimes, but I guess I always maybe would hear that and I would think, yeah, like it's great to keep an open mind. And then on the other hand, I feel like sometimes it's better if I have certain kind of standards and ground rules and structures that I have a framework that I just have to hold. But then of course, at the same time, it is good to keep an open mind.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So anyway, enough of like the super formal stuff. I just wanted to kind of ask you that series of questions, but I'm curious, are you like working on any new books or anything like that at the moment?
Yes. So I would say I've had a pretty good pandemic so far. I was working on my first work of fiction. So it's essentially a novel. Actually, one of the main characters is a psychologist in the book,
Awesome.
but it And so I had this idea. I felt like I said a lot, like I felt complete with what I've written about in the past as far as my military experience, my childhood. I wrote a book on entrepreneurship and focus. Um, I wrote a book on called Mastering Fear. And I felt, okay, I want to do something more creatively, and it's very different type of writing. So I read a book called On Writing by Stephen King, which kind of showcased his style of writing fiction, which is very like kind of flow state, no outline, just kind of write, and the characters jump out at you. I watched a couple master classes on other people who were very structured and at least kind of build that narrative and world structure and then fill it in. And so I started writing a novel. It took me, I think, 3 years to get almost halfway done. And then I just wanted to finish it. And then I asked the guy that writes with me, John, I said, and he'd never done any fiction either. I said, John, let's do this together, because you wrote screenplays in school, like you know how to write fiction. I've written short story fiction, but not a full-length novel. So we ended up collaborating and finishing the book, and we turned it in February of this year. And so I'm thinking, great, this sucks. It's like, it was end of February, early March even. I'm like, we're like in the middle of this pandemic. I don't know there's all this uncertainty. Fortunately, the publishing world has done pretty well through the pandemic, because I think people are at home, they're reading or
Captive
consuming
audience.
content.
Yeah.
So we ended up in the book, to give you an idea, it's based on when I was on the aircraft carrier. They just put women on the ship. 10% of the 6,000 person ship is aircraft carrier was women, and we had a sexual predator on the boat. This guy had assaulted, I think, 7 women. They never caught him the whole time, and these women were terrified because the Navy and the ship is just not equipped to deal with complex crime like that. And so I was like, imagine if it was a serial killer on the boat, kind of making it look like accidents. And because people do die on the ship, it's like a floating city, mishaps happen and people commit suicide. And so I based the book off that, and we wrote it. It's called Steel Fear, and turned into a bidding war. We got the highest advance we've ever gotten for a book deal.
Cheers.
They wanted it. Thanks. They wanted us to do a series, so we sold it to Ballantine Books, which is an imprint under Random House, and our editor is incredible. Her and her publisher did all the Game of Thrones books. So we're done. We're already working on book number 2, and we've got we're working with Ben Smith, who produced all the Jason Bourne movies, because we had film and TV interest right away. So we decided to go in with Ben, and so we're pitching a bunch of the studios and streamers right now for like a limited series.
Now, Brandon, I'm curious, so I'll be honest, to be for me, even just to meet with you and talk to you on video, I get a little jumpy still, because I'm like, oh my God, it's Brandon Webb. I'm talking to Brandon Webb, and and you and I actually have known each other now for years, and you're the nicest person, and but for me, there's still just kind of this thing sometimes where I just get and so I'm just curious, when you start talking about kind of these, really big leagues and doing all this stuff, do you ever reach a point where it just kind of, you say to yourself, wait a minute, is this my life? Or do you just feel totally normal within it?
I feel normal. I mean, here's my life. I'm upstairs. There's my kids. They're not jumpy. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
No, I don't. I think of myself as normal, but I get what you mean. I have friends who are, celebrities and professional sports athletes, and I think, sometimes I feel a little bit off at edge around some of those friends. But I get what you're saying. But
Well,
I honestly don't feel like. But I remember telling someone, excuse me, I remember saying, yeah, my childhood really wasn't that big a deal. And they're like, well, actually, it was very different and kind of a big deal. No, not too many kids leave home at 16
yeah.
and do what you did.
Well, but that's really interesting that what you revealed here, which is that you actually also occasionally will get that, feeling yourself a little bit. And I'm super curious, how do you handle that? Do you just like take a deep breath, or what do you do?
I just remind myself to just act normal like I would anyone else. And I think, I'm by no means a big celebrity, but I'm friends with Mark Harmon, who's been on NCIS for something like 16 seasons now. He's a major celebrity, no social media, gets recognized everywhere he goes. And I think the last thing that Mark wants is, for me to be making a big deal or just treat him normally. And I think that's just kind of what I remind myself to do. Just be normal and don't make a big deal out of it. Or even like, oh, should we sit here, sit there? I would I would do whatever I do with my friends,
Fair enough. So I want to ask you about your love life. Do you want me to ask? Can I ask you now, or do I have to turn off the camera first?
Yeah, no, I don't mind sharing.
Okay, tell me what's going on. Because if anyone didn't know, I have my book, Dr. Clay's 10 Commandments of Dating. And so I can't help myself. I always want to know about everybody's dating life. So thanks, Brandon.
Yeah.
Tell me what's going on.
Okay. I had a girl, I actually met a really nice woman during the pandemic. We met through Instagram. We were on some Instagram group, and it was going very well. Then I think, you always have this initial excitement and lust phase of the relationship, which I'm sure is in your book. But then, things kind of settle down and you start getting real with each other. And I was being more honest with myself, because I have amazing children, but raising kids, that part of my life is over. And I was very honest with her. I said, look, you just have to understand, like, we can be together, but there's no kids in my future. And so we ended up parting ways as adults. But yeah, and so now I'm just trying to, I guess, date more authentically, because to be honest, I was like, oh, I'm open to having more kids. And I was just saying that, I think, because I knew taking another position maybe will scare him off. And I said, well, I need to start attracting the right kind of people into my life. So I just need to be real and put that out up front. And then would probably start getting matches with more of the right kind of partner for me.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm single right now.
Okay, well, that is good to know. I'll definitely keep that in mind, especially if I know anyone in the Puerto Rico area, though. With you and your helicopter on social media, I see that you're always going all over everywhere. How far can a helicopter fly?
Yeah, I like to fly.
Yeah, like could you jump in and go like to New York, or?
No, I mostly fly airplanes, but I took my plane from New York to Miami in half a day. It was just kind of a fun trip. So it's a little bit longer. The ideal trip for me would be New York to Boston, New York to Nantucket, New York to Martha's Vineyard, Rhode Island, upstate. Those are like very quick trips, all under an hour, and you don't have to go through security and all that stuff. So that's where the plane becomes really fun, and you're on the private side of the field, and it's just nicer.
Yeah, that definitely sounds awesome. Well, I'm glad that you did decide to, as you said, just kind of get comfortable with, stating the part about not wanting kids, because, even if it does scare off like half the women, Brandon, I'm sure there's, football fields of women that would, love to go out with you. So I wouldn't worry about just,
Thank you.
thinning the herd a little bit. I think that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, thanks so much. I try to keep the interviews to like a half hour. So, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know that you're doing 1,000,001 things there, but I do want to get out to Puerto Rico and see you sometime.
Yeah. Come down.
Yeah,
for sure.
I would love that. And thank you so much again for joining me today.
Yeah, always good to see you.
Okay, you too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Wow, what an absolutely incredible interview. I was so thankful for the chance to just talk to Brandon. I feel like for me as a high functioning person, when I have the ability to just talk to somebody like him and have him just willingly agree to just be such an open book and let me ask him anything, it's really such a gift. So I hope that you enjoyed the chance to be around Brandon virtually as much as I did. And if you want to be around me some more, you can certainly come and check out my social media, my video logs on YouTube, or certainly more episodes of the High Functioning Hotspot. It was really great to be able to share this with you. Thank you so much again for checking out the High Functioning Hotspot today with me, Dr. Chloe Carmichael, and I hope to see you again soon.